umasenso, manap ng trabaho, o di kaya'y subukang magnegosyo. Lumikha ng produkto't sikaping lumago, inspirasyon mong pagkapiko. Katuwang ng gobyerno sa iyong tagumpay, iisa ang ating hangarin. Pag may abilidad at oportunidad, tiyak na ang lahat ay uunlad. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan.
Walang iwanan.
Go lang ng go mga kaibigan. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan.
Sulong Pilipinas.
Go, 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 kababayan. Kaya natin yan. Kaya natin yan. Kayaw magtipid sa iyong mga pangarap. Sige-sige sa pagsisikap. Asenso'y sigurado sa hinaharap. Manalig lang palagi sa sarili. Trabaho, negosyo at kabuhayan, kaya natin yan.
Walang iwanan.
Go lang ng go mga kaibigan. Trabaho, negosyo, kabuhayan, kaya natin yan.
Sulong Pilipinas.
Go, 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 kababayan. Kaya natin yan. Kaya natin yan.
Over 7,641 islands, the Philippines is rich in crops, livestock, poultry, and fishery. Through innovations and processing, we can produce globally competitive quality products. Based on the recent statistics, Philippine agriculture gained a 5.28% growth in the first quarter of 2017, whereas the growth value of agricultural production amounted to 407.6 billion pesos. As agriculture flourished domestically and abroad, each region contributes to its continuous growth. The following are the top investment commodities of every region. Known as the gem in the north, Region 1's main crop is rice, which is being cultivated in their lands 2 to 3 times a year, followed by corn and mango. Its champion commodities also include tobacco, fruits, livestock, and other different crops such as garlic, eggplant, mung bean, peanut, and fisheries. Dubbed as the peanut and mango capital of the country, Region 2 is also the top producer of corn, rice, livestock, poultry, and fisheries. The region also have a huge production of legumes and root crops. Also known as the rice granary of the Philippines, Region 3 on the other hand is also the top producer of onion, sweet potato, and mung bean. Meanwhile, the Southern Tagalog or Calabarzon's poultry, livestock, coconut, coffee, and hog production contribute a large percentage to the region's economic growth. They are also considered as the industrial house of the country. The Mimaropa, where the bounty of harvest meets the goodness of nature, is known as the home of Calamansi King in Oriental Mindoro. Alongside this top commodity, rice, vegetable, poultry, fishery, cashew, corn production also contribute to their economic growth. Pili, pineapple, and gabi are the top growing commodities in Region 5. Bicol Region's agricultural production continue to rise internationally with the prevalence of good export activities. Region 6, on the other hand, has coined Mananam as one of its priority investment opportunities. Mananam is an acronym for agricultural commodities such as mango, aquaculture, native chicken, natural fiber, abaca and piña, and muscovado sugar. For aquaculture, the emerging commodities are live grouper, milkfish, oysters, and seaweeds. Meanwhile, Guimaras is a world-renowned producer of sweet mangoes. As we speak of mangoes, Region 7 is also at the top of being the country's dried mango capital. Moreover, their agricultural production is also competitive because of processed seaweeds, coffee and cacao, and native chicken. The Philippines is also the largest exporter of banana in Asia and second largest exporter worldwide. One significant contributor is the Eastern Visayas or Region 8. The region is also frontliner in terms of cacao and jackfruit. Zamboanga Peninsula or Region 9 is known as the rubber capital of the Philippines. Coconut, processed fish, seaweeds, livestock, mango, cacao, and other high-value crops are also among the top investment commodities of the region. Region 10 is a proud banana, coffee, and cacao producer. The region is also blessed with vast aquatic resources. The region, together with all other regions in Mindanao, is considered as food baskets in the country. Number 1 in banana, cacao, and coffee is Region 11. The region is tagged as the banana and durian capital of the Philippines. Aside from these, the region also produces fermented beans, corn, rice, abaca, black pepper, coconut, oil palm, hot chili, cassava, rubber, the third largest producer of mango and leading exporter of durian and pomelo, the king of fruits. Soc-Sargen or Region 12 is the pioneer in organic rice export program in the country. They are also known as a major producer of high-value crops like coffee and rubber. The region also relies on poultry, fisheries, livestock, and is a leader in palay and corn production. Meanwhile, the region's top export commodities are asparagus, pineapple, tuna, papaya, and abaca. Region 13, on the other hand, caters a huge percentage in cultivating cacao, coffee, rubber. Moreover, its regional coasts provide various fishery and other aquatic resources. Cordillera Administrative Region is called the vegetable production capital in northern Luzon. Top on their commodities list are coffee, vegetable, and rice. Different varieties of vegetables like potatoes, carrots, cabbages, Chinese cabbage, radish, sayote, sweet peas, and green onions are cultivated in the region. CAR's favorable environmental condition favors the growing of these commodities. Last but not the least, the home of oil palm that contributes 11% production share in the country, the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao. Rubber and coffee are also two of their top investment commodities. The region is the fourth largest contributor of corn in the country. It is also a rich source of tropical fruits like durian, mangosteen, and lanzones. With its immense area, aquatic resources and fisheries thrive in this land. Curatcha, lobsters, sleeper crabs, and other crustaceans can only be found in its deep blue seas. Abundant in resources, bountiful in production, and rich in hard-working people. This is the agribusiness in the Philippines, the land of endless harvests and investments. Invest in agriculture.
Good evening, everyone. Magandang gabi po and a pleasant good afternoon to those joining us from the West Coast. I'm Raymond Batak. I'm your commercial counselor at the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. Thank you to all who registered for our first in a series of webinars on agribusiness opportunities in the Philippines. This is a project between the Departments of Trade and Industry and Agriculture with the support of the Philippine Embassy and our consulates general across the United States. Tonight, we are fortunate to have two undersecretaries from the DTI and the DA, both of whom will speak about our government's efforts to promote rural development through agriculture, latest innovations in the sector, at kung paano po tayo makakapag-invest sa agrikultura na napaka-importante para sa ating bansa. Unfortunately, Ambassador Romualdez could not personally make it tonight due to other engagements, but we would like to share with you a short video message from him on the occasion of the launch of this webinar series. I'll give the floor to Ambassador Romualdez.
I extend my warm greetings to our attendees at the first episode of our series, Discover Agribusiness Opportunities in the Philippines, under the Trabajo, Negosyo, Kabuhayan initiative of the Department of Trade and Industry. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of our Philippine Consuls General and Honorary Consuls who are joining us today. I hope that most of you have already received your vaccines, and I am quite optimistic that we will see a bit of normalcy here in the United States towards the end of this year. I also ask everyone to say a prayer for our country and our loved ones in the Philippines, especially in these trying times as we continue to suffer from this dreaded disease. Today's webinar is organized by our Philippine Trade and Investment Centers across the United States and our Agriculture Attaché together with the Philippine Embassy and consulates around the United States. Around this time last year, we also organized a series of webinars on financial planning, real estate investment, and franchising opportunities, among others. I am pleased to gather previous participants that in those webinars were very successful and helpful. I hope that many of you were encouraged to plan and think of setting up a business, perhaps with the help of a trusted family member. We are continuing the discussion for those of you who want to further expand your investments and for those who have yet to find the right one. Today, we are fortunate to have with us two senior officials from the Departments of Trade and Industry and Agriculture to speak about what the Philippine government is doing to spark investments and economic development in the countryside. And we also have opportunities for investing in our agriculture sector, which has huge potential for growth. Undersecretary Fita Aldaba of DTI will talk about initiatives such as the Regional Inclusive Innovation Centers and Business Development initiatives that aim for sustainable development in rural farming communities. Agriculture Undersecretary Ching Caballero, on the other hand, will present the various training programs, loan facilities, and market linkages assistance offered by the Department of Agriculture specifically for returning and overseas Filipinos like yourselves. President Duterte's administration is doing everything to help repatriated OFWs who lost their jobs overseas, now numbering more than 700,000 since the global quarantine restrictions began in March of last year. They and their families can begin anew under the Philippine government's responsive and sustainable social protection packages supporting food production and agribusiness. You're all invited to give the Philippine agribusiness a closer look and to consider starting your journey as entrepreneurs and partners in national development. We're scheduled to hold 3 more of these webinars in the coming months to give you more ideas on the agribusiness opportunities of the Philippines. We hope that you will all likewise join us in these sessions. Thank you, and I wish everyone a productive evening.
Thank you, Ambassador Romualdez, for those kind words of encouragement. For the next portion of our program, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Joy Havelosa. She is our Agricultural Attaché at the Philippine Embassy. She will briefly discuss the objectives of this webinar series, why we're doing this, what you can learn, and what we hope you'll be able to take home from this initiative of webinars. Just a quick reminder too that for the next 3 presentations, you may type your questions anytime into the Q&A box so we can get to all of them following the presentations. Dr. Havelosa, I'll give you the floor.
Maraming salamat, Commercial Councilor Raymond Bata. Thank you, Ambassador Romualdez, for always rooting for initiatives that help disseminate information on livelihood opportunities in the Philippines for overseas Filipinos abroad, especially for those within the jurisdiction of the Philippine Embassy and consulates in the United States of America. Sa mga nanonood po ng agribusiness webinar na ito, just to provide some background, in 2018, pre-COVID time pa po, our Philippine Overseas Labor Office and our Overseas Workers Welfare Administration's office in Washington, D.C. requested this office, the Office of the Agriculture Attaché, and also Commercial Counselor's Office, to conduct livelihood seminars for overseas Filipino workers who'd like to help their families back home put up their own businesses. We noticed some interest then in agribusiness ventures, especially since some of our OFWs or their families own agricultural land in the provinces of the Philippines. This interest in agribusiness ventures appears to have been more pronounced during COVID time, as some of our OFWs lost their jobs abroad and had to return to the Philippines and find alternative means of livelihood. We therefore organized a webinar last year in June dubbed Kabayan, May Kabuhayan sa Kanayunan as a service to our kababayans on the occasion of Migrant Workers' Day and as a contribution to the Balik Probinsya program of the government. Our colleagues from our trade offices in the USA also continued to conduct Trabajo, Negosyo, Kabuhayan, or TNK series of webinars on various topics, as mentioned by Ambassador Romualdez, such as on franchising, real estate, and financial planning. I recall at least a couple of the TNK resource speakers pointing to food and agribusiness as one of the lucrative businesses in the time of the pandemic. Times like these, we recognize all the more the importance of the most basic of things like food. This year, we jump-started sharing information on agribusiness opportunities, focusing on the coffee sector last April, drawing insights from a US government-assisted project in the Philippines called PhilCafe. The private sector also was represented there by the Philippine Coffee Board and government representatives, particularly the Department of Agriculture, or DA, and the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI for short. In this webinar and the upcoming ones under the TNK campaign, we will be discovering more agribusiness opportunities, which we aim to deliver within our 1 hour long presentations of our esteemed resource persons. We intend to dive in deeper into the broad range of agribusiness possibilities in the Philippines and the support services that the government can provide to help you and your families make this happen in the Philippines. It is worthwhile noting that 5 national government agencies of the Philippines united on November 27, 2020, for the virtual signing of the Joint Memorandum Circular to implement integrated programs and services in agribusiness, referred to as agri-negosyo para sa overseas Filipino workers. The joint circular covers the programs, projects, services, and initiatives of the DA, DTI, DOST, or Department of Science and Technology, TESDA, or the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, and NEDA, the National Economic Development Authority. It is a testament to the strong resolve to help our repatriated OFWs and their families make a brand new start by putting together responsive and sustainable social protection packages with programs supporting food production and agribusiness, as this field has been a bright spot for investments. From this end, we are promoting the Agri-Negosyo program, or what my DTI colleagues refer to as TNK program on agribusiness opportunities, not only to OFWs, but to overseas Filipinos in general who may want for themselves and their families in the Philippines to go into agri-entrepreneurship. We also noticed that more and more Filipino Americans have been applying for dual citizenship with interest to retire in the Philippines, some of whom also have plans to retire in Philippine farms. We hope that the series of agribusiness webinars will be a good source of information and inspiration. We have 2 distinguished resource persons today, and allow me to now introduce our first speaker. She is the Undersecretary of DTI's Competitiveness and Innovation Group, Dr. Rafaelita Fita Aldaba. USEC Fita fulfills a key role in the formulation and implementation of the Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategy and a member of the Board of Governors of the Philippine Board of Investments, the country's primary industry development arm and lead investment promotion agency. She also leads DTI's efforts in manufacturing resurgence, industry roadmaps, and establishing an inclusive innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. A researcher turned policymaker, Dr. Aldaba was Senior Research Fellow and Acting Vice President of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies prior to her appointment at the DTI. Ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome Yusek Fita Aldaba.
Thank you, Dr. Joy. Let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now? Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see we can see Yusek Fita.
Thank you, STR. Yusek Ching Caballero, Dr. Joy from the DA, my co-workers in DTI, our senior trade officials, TC Celine, STR Nick, STR Raymond, TCL Eric, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and good afternoon to those in the US and good morning here in Manila. Well, today I would be sharing with you a brief overview of the agri-negosyo para sa Overseas Filipinos program of the government, which aims to integrate and link together the different agriculture and agribusiness activities and projects of different government agencies and present and bring these projects closer to our overseas Filipinos. Through the sub-technical group on agribusiness, we are collaborating with other government agencies such as the DA, the DOST, TESDA, DOLE, DILG, and OWA, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, in order to strengthen and integrate government programs and implement a more comprehensive approach covering the entire agriculture and agribusiness supply chain, covering activities such as R&D, production, processing, logistics, financing, skills training, to packaging, and marketing support. The agri-negosyo para sa overseas Filipinos is a one-stop shop offering a menu of agriculture and agribusiness related programs and services of the various agencies all under one roof. It also offers services from starting an agribusiness, investment opportunities, crafting a business plan, availing of financing programs, establishing linkages in all stages of the value chain. And I hope you would be able to download the agribusiness portfolio, the cover of which is what you can see on the slide, which serves as guide in operating a business along a menu of program support from the government. You may go to this link to download your copy, or perhaps we can type this later in the chat box, innovate.dti.gov.ph/programs/agrinegosyo para sa OFWs. Just to give you a brief profile of the agriculture and agribusiness sector, on the slide, on the left-hand side, you can see the performance indicators of the performance of the agriculture, fishing, and forestry sector. And as you can see, it contributes significantly to our economy. It represents a share of 10% of our gross domestic product and employing a total of 10 million workers. Exports amounted to $4.4 billion, consisting mainly of bananas, copra, pineapples, mangoes, mangosteen, guavas, coconuts, vegetable saps, and extracts. On the right-hand side, you can see the processing segment of the industry. And food processing, which is highlighted here, contributed 10% to the economy. Total employment is 1.1 million workers. Our exports were valued at $1.8 billion in 2019, and our top exports included fruits, nuts, prepared or preserved fish, fruit and vegetable juices, bread, pastry, cakes, sauces, and other preparations. In the next slide, I'm showing to you the area planted or harvested for major crops. The largest area, as you can see, is for palay with 4.65 million hectares, followed by coconut with 3.65 million hectares. For corn, it is 2.52 million hectares, and the rest is for banana, sugarcane, rubber, mango, abaca, coffee, and pineapple. Of course, there are other fruit crops, other vegetable crops, which I'm no longer showing, but really the area planted for agricultural crops is quite huge. Well, there are many important opportunities. As you know, agriculture and agribusiness are actually priority sectors for DA, for as well as for DTI. The focus, for example, is on mangoes, bananas, nuts, coffee, cacao, coconut, rubber, and other high-value crops. There are also opportunities to upgrade in these sectors. Like, for example, in coconut, you can move up the value chain by producing products such as virgin coconut oil, cocoa water, cocoa flour, cocoa cream, cocoa sugar, and including in non-food products such as biodiesel, oleochemicals, as well as in cosmetics. Note also that abaca, coconut, not coconut, but abaca, banana, and pineapple are important sources of natural textile fiber, and hence developing these sustainable materials is a step in the right direction, given our goal for sustainable development. Looking at the industry priorities of the different regions in the country, you can see that in all of our regions, except of course for NCR and Region 4A, the focus really is on agriculture and agribusiness. I won't mention anymore one by one, but you can clearly see the agricultural focus of our regions. To boost the competitiveness of our agriculture and agribusiness sectors, DTI efforts are focusing on integrating agriculture and manufacturing together. Innovation is at the heart of these efforts through our new industrial policy, which is known as Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategy. There are 6 major pillars. We are embracing the new technologies arising from the 4th Industrial Revolution to improve our productivity and competitiveness, support the growth and development of innovative farmers, MSMEs, and startups, integrate our production systems, improve ease of doing business by streamlining and automating government processes from starting a business, operating a business, up to closing a business, reskilling and upskilling our workforce, and strengthening our innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. And I would like to focus on this pillar in the next slide. We are building regional inclusive innovation centers, or RIICs or RICs, that would serve as platforms to link together our innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. The RIICs connect the different stakeholders such as the universities, funders, research and development, science and technology parks, accelerators, incubators, farmers, MSMEs, startups, government, and other services providers in order for us to promote a more innovative culture, as well as focus on the importance of R&D, market-oriented research, but more importantly, we would like to pursue the acceleration of the commercialization of R&D investments in the country. We actually started piloting RICs 2 years ago in Cebu, in Davao, Legazpi, and CDO. CDO is focusing on processed food. Davao is focusing on functional food, while Legazpi is working on expanding the production of pili nuts. And this year, we are adding 4 more RIICs in Zamboanga, Batangas, Tuguegarao, Cagayan, and Central Luzon. Well, just to again illustrate to you the many support programs, being offered by DTI, especially to our agribusiness MSMEs. We are implementing the following activities. We have the DTI Negosyo Centers, which help in promoting ease of doing business and providing business registration, business advisory, and other services. The Kapatid Mentor Me is a coaching and mentoring program on different functional areas of entrepreneurship for micro enterprises and to help them scale up their businesses. And then we have a financing program called Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-Asenso. This is actually a socialized microfinance program for MSMEs aiming to provide affordable loan programs. And then we have the on the area of product and service development, we have the OTOP Next Gen One Town One product, supporting MSMEs that produce and market distinctive products utilizing indigenous raw materials, local skills, and talents. And then we have Go Local, which is a market access platform being provided to MSMEs for market incubation and brand testing. And of course, Go Local products are also sold online through Shop Pinas. And we also have programs to provide export assistance, business matching, export accreditation, and market and product consultancy. And to COVID-proof and support our industry's survival and recovery, DTI is also implementing the following programs. We have a COVID-19 assistance to restart enterprises or CARES. Again, this is a financing facility to support the economic recovery of our MSMEs. The Control Biz Reboot Now webinars on e-commerce. This is a program, again, helping MSMEs transform their businesses online. And then we also offer digital master classes on entrepreneurship and e-commerce through the DTI YouTube channel. We also offer virtual trade fairs. This is an e-commerce platform or providing a virtual environment where MSMEs can showcase their products and services online. And DTI also organizes national food fairs. But note that last year, due to COVID, the DTI has started to assist MSMEs, local farmers, fruit growers, and cooperatives sell their fresh produce and food products through a program which we call DTI Bagsakan Special Project. And we also assist SMEs set up their businesses online by connecting them with e-commerce platforms like Shopee and Lazada. This time, I'm showing to you another important program. This is the Rapid Growth program. This is a value chain development program linking farmers to markets and helping enhance the value chains of coffee, cacao, coconut, fruits, and nuts through trainings, technology adoption, innovation to increase farmers' productivity and improve their incomes. On the next slide, I'm showing to you various programs being offered by other government agencies. I won't talk about the DA programs because Yusek Ching is here, but we also have from the DOLE, the Balik Pinay, Balik Hanap Buhay program. This is a livelihood program offering support to our returning overseas Filipinos. And TESDA is also offering a scholarship program to overseas Filipinos and their dependents through the TESDA Abot Lahat and ang OFW program. On the part of DOST, Department of Science and Technology, they are also implementing programs providing high-yielding varieties for various crops that you can see on the slide, along with good agricultural practices in mango, coconut, coffee, and other crops. These are just samples of the various government programs. And so it's really important for you to download the agribusiness portfolio in order for you to see the entire suite, the entire list menu of programs that government is offering. There are many challenges arising from COVID-19. Many people have actually lost their jobs because of the pandemic. But looking at the brighter side, there are many opportunities in agriculture and agribusiness that we can tap through innovation and the use of new technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, Internet of Things, precision, or smart agriculture. We have 30 million hectares of agricultural land, 11.1 million people working in the agriculture and food processing sectors. We export $6.2 billion worth of agriculture and processed food, and the government spends around 134 billion pesos in the agricultural sector. And through the Agri-Negosyo para sa Overseas Filipinos program, we would like to offer a comprehensive support package from project conceptualization, building a business model, engaging in production or processing, sourcing of raw materials and inputs, transportation and storage, to marketing your products, whether here and abroad. And in providing these services, we continue to collaborate with other government agencies, with academe, with industry, in order to attract overseas Filipinos, entrepreneurs, farmers, and other stakeholders towards a more inclusive and sustainable agri-entrepreneurship development. Thank you, and back to you, SCR Raymond.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Yusek Fita. I think
Sorry.
Raymond would like me to...
Sorry, Dr. Joy, sorry.
That's okay. I think Raymond would like me to introduce my principal from the Department of Agriculture. But first, thank you, Yusek Fita, for that very comprehensive presentation. And to our audience registered on Zoom who already have questions at this point, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box. So, as I was saying, I would like to introduce our next speaker, our Undersecretary for Agri-Industrialization and Fisheries at the Department of Agriculture, Ms. Cheryl Marie Ching Natividad Caballero. Yusek Ching, as we call her, earned her bachelor's degree in sociology and psychology and master's degree in technology management, both in the University of the Philippines in Diliman. She is a social innovator, development catalyst, with extensive experience in project design, systems thinking and strategic planning, and information technology. Yusek Ching will be giving us more information about the various opportunities in agribusiness and also the support services that the Department of Agriculture can help you with to tap these opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Undersecretary Ching Caballero.
Thank you, Dr. Joy Havelosa, for that wonderful introduction. Of course, I would like to acknowledge my classmate in Subtask Group Agribusiness, our chairperson, Yusek Fita Aldaba, Mr. Raymond Batak, the commercial attaché, and Mr. Nick Bautista and Ms. Celine Layog, PTIC, as well as Eric Elnar. At sa ating mga kababayan na nakikinig ngayong gabi sa US, isang magandang araw po sa ating lahat. The agriculture sector has been one of the most promising sector as we recognize now as a result of the pandemic. And what I'm going to share with you today are the possible opportunities that you might want to venture into. I would just like to take off from what Dr. Joy mentioned a while ago, na karamihan po sa atin, I'm sure ay meron pang mga lupain or properties in the Philippines, or you're still are in touch with your relatives who are in Manila or in other provinces. That being said, this provides an opportunity for you to look at the agribusiness opportunities in the Philippines. So if we may share the screen and flash what the DA is doing to offer this wonderful platform sa inyong ating mga kababayan na nasa ibang bansa. May I request the Secretariat to please share the screen? Yeah. of course, while waiting for the screen share, there are three ways to invest in agriculture. Ano po ito, no? Of course, you may want to start the business on your own, and so you start building it up from the ground up. The second would be, of course, when you look at investing in existing agribusinesses. So, the next slide will give us an overview on what mechanisms you can tap. No, so the first one is when you would like to start it on your own. So from the ground up, you can look at registering your company and going into the agribusiness activities. The second aspect is for you to look at co-investing in those areas that may already be are off the ground and would just require additional capital. And then of course, number 3 is when you invest through crowdsourcing. So meron na rin po ito at inalaw na ng ating Securities and Exchange Commission. But to walk you through on what investment opportunities are available, looking at export champions, the succeeding slide will give us a snapshot on what these commodities are. So the next slide shows us that abaca is still one of the main products na pwede natin pong itanim. So this is used for tea bags, for commercial and other applications, such as even for nursery establishments and other activities that may require you to use this for other high-value applications. So pwede din po itong gamitin na sausage, banknotes, construction materials, and these are being bought by processors locally. Of course, mango is one of our favorites. Who doesn't like mango except for those medyo lumalayo sa sugar? So mango plantation can be one of those areas that you may want to look into, as well as putting up this facility for processing. Coconut production is one of the emerging, if not increasing, business opportunities because of the VCO market. There are improvements as well that are being done by the Department of Agriculture through the Philippine Coconut Authority to help improve the quality of planting materials. So these are available through the Philippine Coconut Authority should you want to engage in production and planting. But of course, if you have already plantations, this can be connected to aggregators or to processors who can process it to coconut milk, sugar, or activated carbon. Of course, for the fisheries, we have seaweeds. Isa po ito sa malalaking opportunities when it comes to fisheries. We have the technology established through the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources and NFRDI, and it gives you the opportunity to establish your seaweed nurseries, your seaweed farms, or to engage in drying and processing. The next slide also gives a snapshot on what has been mentioned already by Yusek Fita, particularly cacao, coffee, rubber, and shrimp. So yung next slide po will give us this information on opportunities as well for cacao. So nabanggit kanina na meron tayong national roadmap for cacao, that being one of the most important traded commodity because of its application for chocolates and other derivatives. So yan po ang ating lokal na cacao or tableya. Of course, we have rubber, which has been one of the main exports of the country for the last years, no? And expansion of production area is still one thing that you may want to invest on, and connectivity to processing facilities is also an intervention that is being done by the DA through cooperatives and through other industry players. Of course, coffee is one of those commodities that has been mentioned already by Yusek Fita, expanding what the DTI has been doing to promote it as one of the main products of the country. Shrimp, which is one of the main exports natin noon. Who doesn't remember tiger prawn? And shrimp production is one area that the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources is promoting to ensure that we also are able to meet the local requirements. Na allow na din po natin ang pagpasok ng Vaname o yung white shrimp na tinatawag, and the production can be done in 3 months, and that is already harvestable to give you a 10 to 20 gram size, and which is one of the main products that we import, but is heavily used by Jollibee and for those local processors doing dumpling. So isa po ito na emerging commodity should you want to invest in the fisheries and aquatic marine products. The next slide is a rundown on what are the investment costs and returns. So if you are now somehow trying to decide what does it mean when it comes to the bottom line. And of course, the bottom line gives you the cost and returns for coffee, cacao, mango. The next slide also gives you that information in terms of milkfish, seaweeds, and seaweeds also, because there are 2 ways of planting, no, or growing seaweeds: through the technology using the stocking monoline or the floating rope. So magkaiba po ito pagdating sa return of investment at profitability. So if you would be able to ascertain which area would like to invest on, the next slide also gives you a list of these commodities presented in terms of their return of investments. What are the expected gross returns? The average cost per kilogram, the yield, estimated yield, ano po, and then the farm gate price. So on the extreme right is the return of investment. If you want to gauge saan ang makakapagbigay sa akin ng mas malaking kita end of the day. The next slide also gives us a snapshot on livestock. So goat production is there, native pig production, and dairy buffalo production. So nakalagay po dito, ano ba ang magandang numero para tayo kumita ng maayos. So the first area on goat production is about a 20 breeder doe. The second is on pig production with 10 sow and 1 boar. And the dairy buffalo production is from 5 heads to more numbers. Why? Because you can distribute your cost, and you can optimize your profit by making use of the technology and the skills and the investment that you may want to pour into when it comes to spreading, no, yung cost item. So ito po yung ilang mga information that you may want to take a look at and review when you are ready to dive in. Of course, the succeeding slide also gives us information on how profitable the free-range chicken would be. So, amin pong nire-recommenda na ito dapat ay 50 heads para kayo magkumita ng 82.24% with the net profit of 36,775. Of course, one of the emerging commodity for livestock is duck racing. We are happy to inform you that the Department of Science and Technology and the Department of Agriculture has been working together to improve our Itik Pinas. Ito po ay local na breed at binibigyan po tayo ng higher returns. So this is a technology wherein we have an advantage of, and we can maybe engage also to balut making or to salted egg making, which is now one of the main exports to Singapore as a processed product. Of course, the next slide gives us the investment guide. So ito po ay mga QR code na you can easily pan in your mobile phone, and you will be easily connected to the links. So ito po ay access, no, doon sa inyong mga gustong makitang information on specific commodities. So all you have to do is to use your cell phone and pan into these QR codes, which is available and downloadable through the agribusiness marketing services of the DA. So the next slide gives you that rundown, no, kung ano itong mga commodities na meron ng QR code, at kung kayo po ay nagnanais magbasa ng detalye, then you can just easily access this link so you can have more detailed information on these commodities as you would now want to review, what gives you a higher return. So this covers peanuts, seaweeds, native chicken, milk fish, the one that I have presented or mentioned a while ago in my slides. Not to be left behind, of course, is the aqua negosyo para sa Pilipino. So this covers the technologies, the technical know-how on aquaculture. So these videos were taken in the actual setting wherein fishers were learning the technology upgrading program, or those who would like to engage in seaweed production, shellfish, what else? Tilapia, bangus, can easily watch this YouTube video, so you can have more in-depth information on how is it being done in actual setting. And of course, this will allow you to gauge your level of preparedness and your interest. So with this, the next slide now unfolds the number naman of interventions that the Department of Agriculture is providing, that coincides also with the other services of our partner agencies. Alam po ninyo, we are adopting the whole of the nation approach, no, to make sure that your interest to invest is properly covered by the government to reduce the risk. This offers the Balik Bayanihan or reintegration program of OFWs, which is primarily led by DOLE and OWA. DA has also trainings and extension programs, market linkages, loans, and agri-youth programs. Should you have children who are interested also, no, to engage in agribusiness or agripreneurship in the Philippines. So the first slide now gives you this Balik Bayanihan reintegration of OFWs. Next slide gives us this overview on what this is. And again, the website is there for you to appreciate. The next services that we provide is on extension programs. So DA can be reached through their contact centers and our website on the eextension.gov.ph/e-learning. So marami po itong programa na the Agricultural Training Institute naman has prepared for anybody who would like to learn the following technologies. This includes the next slide, covering the production technologies. Next slide po tayo. To look at the production technologies and value chain approach. Field schools, livestock schools, Digital Farmers Program, and agripreneurship trainings. So makikita po yan ninyo sa website as flashed on the screen on the bottom. The next slide also are just lineups of what other information you can see and you can get from ATI. So the next slide on production technologies is an example on how extensive the information that you can get in this website provided by ATI. Meron din po tayong hands-on, no? Should you wish to engage into this when you visit and come back to the Philippines, then this would be available through ATI. Complementary to the other training programs of our partner agencies also includes the entrepreneurship training. Next slide will give us that list of programs, no, available. So meron po tayong Climate Farm School, Climate Smart Farm School, how do we write project proposals, financial literacy, of course the mentoring agripreneurship partnership with the DTI, and the Farm Business School. There are other trainings, no, that you may want to check on if you want to be very commodity specific. The next slide gives us the list of agencies that you can visit through their Facebook accounts. So the Bureau of Plant Industry, the National Dairy, PhilFIDA, Bureau of Fisheries, and the Philippine Coconut Authority have their respective websites. The next slide also includes the market linkage. So kung tayo po ay nag-training, then how do we sell our products? The Department of Agriculture has its Kadiwa ni Ani at Kita platform. Whether you go on an outlet store, working with the local government unit in a specific area, putting up your own mobile store, through the Kadiwa on Wheels, or launching your virtual store through e-commerce is also available through Ikadiwa. Okay, there seems to be a lot of programs that are available, but let me just give you the details on how to access and who can apply. So the next slide gives you that. Next slide, please. So how do you apply? These are the processes. How do you get the forms for application? This is how it is. This is how it's done. You just can download it also using the QR code. And if you would like to access loans and credit facilities, we have that in our next slide through the Agricultural Credit and Policy Council. And we have several programs available at zero interest, no collateral, payable in 5 years. So what are these programs? This includes, next slide, yung Anyo, Sure COVID-19, and Kaya. So nandyan po yung pwede ninyong tignan should you want to pair your investment with loans. Of course, how to go through the loan application. The next slide gives you this process of application through the Agricultural Credit and Policy Council. There are also programs from Land Bank through the Agricultural Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. So napakadali po ng application. Of course, ang kailangan lang po ay meron kayong schedule ng business planning workshop. The next slide also is a credit facility that is made available through the Land Bank, through the Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. It has a lower interest of 2% and requires collateral. The last slides just gives you the specifics as to how do you get registered, because in all Department of Agriculture's program, the applicant or the beneficiary must be included in the registry system for basic sectors in agriculture. So kung kayo po ay may kamag-anakan, no, they can register through the RSBSA to get included and be accredited either as an individual applicant, as a farmer organization, if they are cooperatives, or as an enterprise. So these are the qualifications. The next slide also gives you that information, additional requirement. The first stop is to coordinate with the Municipal Agriculture Office to be registered in the RSBSA. Lastly, we would like to, of course, express to our kababayans na meron tayong programa continuing for the youth. And this includes an internship program through Maya, an agripreneurship training by ATI, of course, the loan that we are providing through ACPC. So DA's help desk is flashed on the next slide. How do you get in touch? If you are now decided to have a more engaging interaction in with the DA through the agribusiness and marketing assistance service. So ito po ang aming mga contact numbers, sites to visit, and with this, I hope that we have given you the information necessary to take a second look at our agriculture and fisheries opportunities. And we hope that together we can act, win, heal, and rise as one. So magandang umaga at maraming salamat po sa ating lahat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joy, Yusek Fita, and Yusek Ching for your very enlightening presentations. I think you certainly gave us a comprehensive view of our government's initiatives to encourage more agribusiness investments, entry financing options, and even specific sectors where our overseas Filipinos and their families back home can get into. So now we proceed to our Q&A. Let me see. So far we have there's one question here. I'll pose it to either of our resource persons. The use of e-commerce is still very limited in the country for several reasons. One is access to IT support for small businesses, website, internet fulfillment. How is this being addressed by the program/government? So I'll give it to either Yusek Ching or Yusek Fita.
I'll go ahead on this aspect. No, e-commerce is one of the emerging business mechanism to address the challenges caused by pandemic. In fact, there has been a surge of this. Of course, the Department of Agriculture is providing a platform, no, to allow the would-be entrepreneurs to be linked, no, to the e-platform that DA has been doing. But surprisingly, what we are now also seeing is that the social media, no, eting mga, how do we call it? They use their YouTube, they use their Facebook account to connect with this platform. And on the part of the DA, what we simply do is to get them registered through the e-platform and assist them should they want to have their own virtual store through that platform. So that's being done now, though I think DTI is more really bullish on this area because they have access to wider engagements. But complementation is always one of those areas that we engage in to make sure that we're able to leverage these technologies. Yusek Fita, you may want to add on this.
Yes, thank you, Yusek Ching. Well, definitely, we DTI as together with the DA, we're well, including DOST, almost all of us, those agencies that we've mentioned under the SCGA, we are all offering e-commerce support to our stakeholders to help them in terms of selling their produce, reach more consumers. And this is particularly important given the need to physical distancing, as well as I mean with all the lockdowns that we've been going through. And in fact, last year, the number of online registrants to which DTI processed really exploded in terms of numbers by the thousands, as compared to the pre-COVID days, wherein there were few applicants registering their online businesses. So in fact, COVID has accelerated this online businesses, and the government through agencies such as DA, DTI, DOST, we are all offering e-commerce support. DTI has its own e-commerce programs, especially to help our micro, small, and medium enterprises transform their businesses digitally. DTI is also offering entrepreneurship and e-commerce master classes. You can find this on YouTube. And there are other programs wherein we also help MSMEs link with platform providers such as Shopee and Lazada. And at the same time, of course, we help farmers by organizing the bagsakan and other fairs for your produce. And this is together with other processed products. And in terms of the difficulties, I'm sure there would be still some areas where probably the internet is slow, or sometimes the internet could be unreliable, and including the costs. DICT is actually already beefing up its programs as well, in terms of putting up more infrastructure, ensuring that more people would be able to access the internet at reasonable costs. It's been building common towers, as well as implementing its free Wi-Fi program. So in all of these efforts, I think the goal is really to enable our MSMEs, our farmers, to have access to internet at reasonable cost. And at the same time, even PLDT and SMART are also investing in 5G technologies. This would be more powerful, and in any case, this is the state-of-the-art technology. And then we have a third telco coming, and that's really going to stimulate more competition, and hence improve our internet access, as well as bring down costs.
Thank you, Yusek Ching and Yusek Fita. We have a couple more questions because I know we're a bit over time from 8 o'clock. This one for Yusek Fita. On the Rapid Growth Project, may tanong po, do you need to be in a specific region, or do you have to do those 4 sectors of cacao, coconut, coffee, and processed foods to be able to benefit from this project?
Yes, that's correct, STR Raymond. For the RAPID program, the focus really is in Mindanao. So if your farm, or if you're an entrepreneur located in the Mindanao area, you can actually access this program. It would also provide you with a comprehensive support from starting a business, processing, including technology access. I've already mentioned some of the programs that the DOST is offering, but at the same time, DTI and both DA and DTI are ready to support you in terms of improving your incomes, increasing your productivity, and ensuring that you have access to the needed raw materials, as well as the equipment that would be needed in order for your venture to be really successful.
Okay, thank you, Fita. So for our participants, mga taga Mindanao, so meron kayong ano, if you
Special.
you can look into it. Yusek Ching, there's a question here on the Digital Farmers Program. Yung understanding is, diba, there have been, I think, parang basic programs on internet, smartphone, etc. So there's a question: how is this going to now move forward? What are the other improvements that are being planned for the Digital Farmers Program? And parang connected to that, yung sa youth program naman po, alam naman nating maraming youth are not really interested anymore to go into farming. So what are the specific things that the department is doing to, you know, kind of attract them more? Because even here in the States, I think it's the same thing. Farming is not considered anymore as a very, you know, a long-term you know, career or what have you, or livelihood. So siguro ho yung two questions na yun, if you could just give us some feedback, kasi nga I think both of you spoke more about yung digital transformation even for agriculture and farming. So if you could speak on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to connect the access of services, access to services through the technology outreach stations of the DA. As you would know, meron po tayong mga, you may not know about this, but we have several research outreach stations sa mga probinsya. And this is an access point for you to visit, well, physically, if you want to, the technologies that are made available. Kasi namimigay tayo ng planting materials, namimigay din tayo ng similya or fingerlings should you want to go into this production aspect. So number two is that for the youth to be connected with digital technology is one of those in thing. They always would like to do vlogging. They would like to, use their YouTube accounts or what have you. But one thing that we realized is that a lot of these youth initiated activities also not only make use of this digital technology, but it is connected to a healthy lifestyle. When they talk about it's more environmental consciousness that goes with the food that they eat, packaging it as organic. So there's been a shift now into the food systems looking at healthier diets. And this is where the youth comes in, and they use the technology to showcase what they are doing, what their friends are doing, and out of this, how can they make money? Medyo baligtad lang. It's not the money part that comes immediately, but it is something that captures their interest. And technology is there, to talk about it and be seen in this social media platform. So, dyan tayo pumapasok. We understand the psyche, and from that, we build on what resources can be made available through these technologies. Thank you.
Thank you,
CR.
Fita, did you want to add something?
Yes, just I'm really actually very excited about this question. If you recall, my last slide has shown the picture of a guy holding a relatively young guy holding his iPad, and then you have drones in a farm, and then you also have another picture showing an iPad, a man holding his iPad and in his garden. And hence this is really the future, I think, of agriculture, especially if we want to improve our competitiveness, our productivity, increase our yield, apart and linked, of course, with the other developments that are happening based on the programs of DOST and DA in terms of improving the seedlings, turning more into high-yielding varieties, and combining this with new technologies, for example, through smart and precision agriculture, wherein you can use programs through artificial intelligence that would tell you when it's time to harvest your cacao, for example, because a lot of the wastage actually would be due to lack of scientific basis in terms of when is the proper time to harvest your crop. So through these new technologies, we would be able to really improve our efficiency, bring down our costs, increase our yields, and as well as entice the youth to move towards this sector, given that it's no longer the agriculture as we used to know it, a backbreaking job, and then you have a farmer plowing the fields with his carabao under the heat of the sun. That's no longer the case. And even the DA is no longer, please Yusek Ching, correct me if I'm wrong, whereas in the past they used to give carabaos. Nowadays they don't do that anymore because of the thrust of Secretary Dar as well to move towards modernizing the agricultural sector and bringing in more modern equipment to help our farmers. And hence I think that would somehow attract more people to move into agriculture. You'll be inside an air-conditioned office, for example, controlling the operations of your farm through computers, through the use of all these new technologies. And right now, actually, there are a lot of people involved, young people, startups, tech startups who are moving towards agriculture, creating a lot of apps, a lot of platforms that would bring the produce of our farmers to the markets, connecting buyers and sellers together. And that way, really, you will be offered, you get, I mean, the farmers and the users would both be getting more competitive prices because of the use of these platforms being developed by startups. You are able to access better information, and that would result into higher efficiencies and higher incomes for all stakeholders in the agricultural sector.
Thank you, Sekvita. I think Yusek Ching, you wanted to add something more?
Yeah, I was just reading the chat box, and there's a question from Ryan. I would just like to respond to his request for assistance. I think he originally was from Tampa, Florida, then moved to Dubai, then came back to Los Baños. And now he's doing aquaponics, agroponics, and chicken. So what I would suggest to Ryan is to visit the regional office of the DA. If you are interested on fisheries, we have the office in Botong, Batangas, wherein the technology for ornamental fish is one of the main highlights. No, alam niyo po, we are trying to develop. No, we are one of the biggest exporters of marine ornamental fish, and we are now successful in breeding the what they call this, the freshwater ornamental fish. So koi. Japanese koi is there, fighting fish, angel fish, what have you, the technology is there. So if you'd like to value add and see this as one income opportunity, I would strongly suggest you to pay a visit in the NFRDI, that's National Fisheries Research and Development Institute, so you can have the proper breeding technique should you want to invest in the fisheries sector. But however, if you want to just connect to the market, we have our Kadiwa platform. We can connect you to the sellers in Metro Manila because the DA can pay for the logistics. So that will make your cost less, and you'd be able to optimize the profit within the suggested retail price. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek Ching. Thank you again, Yusek Fita. I think it's very exciting, especially with the technology especially for yung mga Filipinos who are here, you have exposure to the technologies here. Baka pwede niyong dalhin sa Pilipinas yung mga makukuha niyo dito and bring the technology to the Philippines, as we can see na marami talaga dito advanced sa US na pwede nating implement doon. So, that's something that we could look at. I have a last question here for Yusek Fita. There's a question here from Mr. Ed Stanek. He's asking, what is the best way for a Filipino-American enterprise project to form or join a company or corporate structure to interact with government programs with an eye of marketing agricultural products or getting them to the market. So what is the best way for them now to enter the Philippines? That's the question, Yusek Fita.
I need to unmute myself. Well, if you don't have a Filipino partner yet, we can probably help you in terms of looking for the best match. And by the way, this is really a good direction. I mean, in terms of the focus of your company, we really need more establishments in the supply chain, logistic, marketing side, because this is one of the gaps. We've creating all these different programs that are being offered to you. We've seen that really in terms of the supply chain, logistics, marketing side, we still need more. There's still a lot of scope for more companies to enter. And I would say that profits, given that there are not too many companies working in this area yet, it's really important for us to move into and attract more companies towards this sector. And in terms of the support, please do get in touch with us, and we'll help you in terms of all the necessary papers that you would be needing. We will guide you through the process, including finding a good match for this venture.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Yusek Fita. Okay, there's one last that I'll combine them. I don't know if either of you could answer, Yusek Ching, Yusek Fita. There's one question. They're interested in cacao. Will that work near the ocean? And then there's a second question. Do we have an industry on mozzarella and sheep lamb farming? So cacao near the ocean and cheese, sheep lamb farming. Meron ba ho tayo nun sa Pilipinas?
I'll start
Near an
on
ocean.
Yusek Tita.
You go ahead, Yusek Ching.
Yeah, cacao in the ocean. Kasi may in terms of agroclimatic condition, cacao can take advantage of the salt, the air that goes out from the sea. I think that is something that is beneficial when you look at mangoes. Kaya matamis po ang mangga because of that. For cacao, yes, for as long as it is planted underneath a higher plant that covers it during its growing period. Kaya maganda po mag-intercrop if you have coconut that is near those sea areas, coastal areas, and then plant cacao in between. That's the best. That's the best cover for cacao because cacao doesn't want to be exposed in too much heat. Number two, on the mozzarella, I think we have yet to really look at this market because production for milk from goat or from lamb is something that is a big opportunity. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with MIDEF in France, and the group are willing to really bring in this bigger, higher yielding variety or species, and they are looking for partners that would like to grow or expand the market for goat raising, particularly for cheese making. So this can be a good link up to you. So you can just maybe leave your contact number there, and we can get in touch with you to facilitate these linkages. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
We're
just
going much
if I
over
may,
time.
if I may add just
Yes,
very
Yusek Fita.
quickly, SCR Ray. Well, cacao is actually abundantly grown in Davao, Region 10, as well as in Cagayan de Oro. I think because the climate is suitable for growing cacao in these areas. And of course, we have a very successful establishment there. That's Malagos. And then there are others that are already winning awards. Auro Chocolates is another good example, and Malagos is also producing goat's cheese, so it has a huge farm in Davao.
Thank you.
Thank
Yusek
you.
Vita. So yeah, as I said, we're a bit overtime, 25 minutes overtime. So we'll have to wrap up. So again, I'd like to just thank everyone for your active participation. Thank you to Yusek Ching, Yusek Fita, for taking time for your busy schedules to be with us. Please do reach out to us here in the U.S. offices of the DTI and the DA, for any more questions. Our office in New York is headed by SDR Nick Bautista. In Silicon Valley is TC Celine Layog, and Los Angeles TC Eric Elnar, and of course Dr. Javilosa, who is in our embassy here in Washington DC. Before we close the session, I'll just like to turn over the floor to Ms. Celine Layog from our Silicon Valley office for a couple of items before we wrap up tonight. Celine, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, STR Ray. We will definitely continue this conversation about agribusiness opportunities. We plan to do a deep dive on the various platforms and opportunities mentioned both by Yusek Vita and Yusek Ching. So by June, we want to share with you some inspiring stories, inspiring stories from our youth and the work of cooperatives and some of our films here in the US. The second one for July would be a deep dive on finance and training opportunities if you are planning to do agribusiness. And then the last one would be Blick Provincia Regional Spotlight for August. We actually did a survey, and these are the results. So a lot of interest for Calabarzon, Central Luzon, and Bicol, Western Visayas, and Western and Central Visayas. And for Mindanao, it's Davao is the winner. So we hope to see you again in our succeeding webinars. So, and then please do accomplish our customer feedback form. It will help us further improve our services and our TNK program. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. I think the panelists, if we'll stay for our picture, Celine.
Yes, please do stay.
Sige, Celine, we're going to take a quick picture while everyone's lying off.
And look at the screen, smile. And one more. There you go. To all our participants, maraming salamat po.
Thank
Maraming
you.
salamat,
Yusek
Yusek
Ching and
Yusek
Yusek Fita
Thank
for
you.
taking time.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Yusek.
po.
Yeah, Yusek
Good day to
Ching.
everyone.
Always
Yusek
good to
Vita.
see you.
Yes, same here.
Natapos na namin